I think a lot of people have this viewpoint that VR and AR is entertainment or games. VR and AR metaverse isn't just about that. That's just like one facet. It's going to hit every single industry. This technology will be at the forefront of really everything that we do in the next few years.
Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. I am so excited today because we have episode 60. That is 6 followed by a 0. And we have a great guest. We have the Dan Burgar joining us. And Dan, before we get into our chitty chat, if you will, let me set this up. Dan Burgar is a cheerleader and innovator who has helped Vancouver become a global powerhouse in the VR, AR metaverse. Dan is the co-founder and CEO of the Frontier Collective, a coalition of leaders in tech, culture, and community driving forward the development and support of Web3, the metaverse, VR, AR, climate tech, AI, and eSports, basically everything cool and new. Furthermore, Dan serves as the president of the Vancouver VR AR Association, an organization with a mission to make Vancouver/BC a world-leading hub for growing and scaling VR AR companies. Nominated as one of 2021's LinkedIn Top Voices in Technology and Innovation. Furthermore, also, we've got the Business in Vancouver's Top 40 Under 40 and named as a BC 500 leader. Amazing. Dan has written for and offered tech insights to publications including TechCrunch, BetaKit, VR Scout, Daily Hive, and BC Business. Dan has curated events and spoken at venues around the globe, including Web Summit, South by Southwest, and the TED Conference. Dan also advises and mentors many fast-growing startups and entrepreneurs with an emphasis on diversity. Dan, that was a lot of words. That's a lot of guy. You've done a lot. Let's learn all about it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me here, Chris. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, we're gonna have some fun. That much I promise you. That much I promise you. So tell you what, Frontier Collective seems like everyone's part of this. Tell me about the creation story behind it.
Well, it's really created out of frustration and opportunity. Frustration due to the lack of support for these foundational technologies. In Vancouver, specifically, we just don't have this environment of risk-taking and early stage capital. So entrepreneurs and startups always have to go down to Silicon Valley, Seattle to raise their early stage funding. And we see that there is a gap kind of in that foundational layer of BC, especially within technologies that still are at the cusp of getting to really prime time. So I really came up with the idea really around the potential that we have in Vancouver. Vancouver is the world leader for VR and AR. AI is thriving here. Clean tech is one of the biggest industries within tech. We've got Web3, which is booming. Our friend Casey Lau continues to put on those incredible Webcouver events, as well as the overall broader Web3 community that's burgeoning here because of Dapper Labs and some other major players really kind of pushing this technology forward. So I was like, I think there needs to be a culture shift in Vancouver, really looking at how can we bring these foundational technologies to the forefront? How can we, look at breaking down silos? Because I'm sure you've realized this as well. Vancouver is a very siloed place. We don't like working together. And I feel like that needs to change if we want to become a global city. So really, it was just about changing culture, pushing the technologies that will drive Vancouver forward, and doing it in a sustainable and diverse way, and inclusive way. So yeah, it's really exciting. We're doing a number of initiatives, including really bolstering the talent pipeline. Two is really shouting from the rooftops of what's happening in Vancouver. We should be very proud. 15 unicorns in the past year and a half, 15 or 16. It's hard to track.
They keep popping up, man. and they'll keep popping up, we hope,
Yeah, and that will only continue. We'll start getting more exits. And And it's really about telling that global story. You and I will be at Collision, and
Mhm.
really it's about kind of celebrating what's happening in Vancouver to a global audience. So that's a major piece, and then that foundational piece, as I mentioned, really supporting entrepreneurs and startups that are building this new wave of technology.
It's so cool. I mean, you're doing a lot. I mean, this is a lot of technologies that I kind of like it because I mean, the Frontier Collective. It says you couldn't have named it better in my mind. I mean, the whole idea is this is the cusp. This is where we're going, and we want to push it, but we're going to do it in a very, I'll call it Vancouver way. I mean, as a collective, it's not a company. It's an organization of companies, people, personalities, attitudes, to try to improve the community. And I look at the group that you have in as members, and it really is those at the forefront of pushing what I would say as leaders in the community. But I got to ask you, because you do look at the great people who are part of the collective. How did you convince so many movers and shakers to join?
Sorry about the alarm. um,
It's part of living in the city.
so essentially, why we were able to bring such a unique group together was the frustration wasn't on me within my ecosystem, VR, AR. It was basically kind of spreading to a lot of these other transformational technologies. A lot of us had some of the same pitfalls of growing ecosystems and growing this incredible community. So we all kind of faced a lot of the roadblocks within government. What we're seeing within our municipal governments, provincial governments, and federal governments. There's a lack of an awareness towards innovation. And a lot of the funding usually stops in Ontario, Quebec. I won't go too deep into that.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that's shifting, and that's what we're hoping to shift.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not building this organization to have our hands out to the government. We're going to, really inform government and look to work with them. But it's about widening the pie. So I feel like a lot of the folks within different facets of the tech ecosystem. And we don't just have tech leaders, we have cultural leaders, we have
Yeah.
artists, and it's really about just changing the culture of the city, making it more vibrant, and being the city that we want to thrive in. One of the issues that I've been hearing, and I see it with myself, with my friend group,
Mm-hmm.
most people kind of who are at that millennial Gen Z stage of their careers, they don't see a future in Vancouver.
Mm.
And that's really what hit home for a lot of us within the collective. We
Mm.
wanted to look at how do we change things? How do we look at ways where we can innovate in ways that we've never seen, and really just bring people together? So that's kind of the ethos of how this all came together.
I think it's awesome, and again, I really applaud you for getting so many people, going together in the same direction in order to improve, not just Vancouver and BC, but our community, our industries, the whole bit, and also giving a voice, where we can have a central person who can be, the government wants to talk to, the news wants to talk to. You've educated yourself up on many of these things. I know you've definitely done the homework, so you are ready to speak. As a real good resource. Well, you know what? I want to give you a bit of a platform here. I'm really impressed by who's members of the collective. But I want to give you that platform. I want you to just reach out and say, these are certain people who I would love to join. Is there anyone that, might be listening, that you would love to have join the collective, because that they would, they're leaders in the industry and they could bring, some authority and power to the group?
Yeah, so essentially, we're not built as an association or an organization that takes membership dues. So basically, it's about folks that really want to get their hands dirty and want to kind of push this new wave that's happening in the city. And we really look at folks that are just passionate about changing the city and doing it in a really meaningful way. So we're always open to chatting with folks like that, and we want to build out our organizations so that we can not only service the frontier ecosystem, but we want to be able to help the broader tech ecosystem in Vancouver. And we want to do that by widening the pie, and do that in a way where we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. We didn't want to be a paid membership type of organization, because a lot of the companies and entrepreneurs in frontier technologies are still at that early stage, and we don't want to have to ask them for money if they're just scrapping by to pay their bills and to just survive day by day, because most of these technologies haven't hit prime time yet. So they need to really focus on building their companies, and we want to help them do that, but not ask them for funding or membership dues. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking, and we always look for very vibrant people who are really passionate about the future of the city.
So no names, huh? No names. Okay, that was a good political answer. I mean, it showed right there. But I wanted to give you that opportunity. I wanted you to say, hey, Musk, you listening? You join. That sort of a thing. But
I would say, the folks that I would love to see that would want to be a part of it are, the unicorns in the city.
Sure.
Folks that are, have built their businesses up and have become successful, and would love to see folks, want to kind of look to help grow the pie here in Vancouver. So,
for sure.
The 15 unicorns I would love to chat with about, but we don't want to just be a group that just wants all the the folks that have a great track record in the ecosystem. We want the future leaders to really be a part of this. It's a hard question to ask.
All good. No, all good. You know what? You're a collective. I mean, it's a collective, right? Everyone should be coming in, bringing their own flavor. And that's what makes it such a beautiful stew, we'll call it. A beautiful stew with the Frontier Collective. I mean, I see a sign behind you, or a hat. And then, I'm pretty sure it's not a pirate hat going, "Arr." I mean, we're talking about AR here. There's my dad joke of the day. But, I keep hearing from everyone, and this is a pretty consistent position, is that Vancouver's number 2 in terms of global hubs for AR, VR. Well, who's that lucky number 1, and how do we knock them off?
Silicon Valley. That's the the one that's always leading in many of these disciplines. Although I think that's changing. There's been a migration for a lot of these frontier technologies moving to Austin. We're seeing a lot of movement to Miami and even Europe, right? So I think we're actually set up really nicely in Vancouver to become a global hub within new technologies. And a lot of the reason why we have one of the second biggest VR AR metaverse ecosystems is because of the infrastructure throughout these traditional industries through film that have been here for over 40 years. And through film, it's been able to spawn a huge VFX industry, animation, video games. And we've seen that, a lot of the talent and a lot of the entrepreneurs within those facets are bleeding into VR and AR. So that's sort of why we have this advantage here, because we already have that skill set that's been kind of bubbling at the surface for many years.
But can I ask you about that advantage? Because I mean, it sounds like, and I think this is true, is like content is king again. I mean, people don't really understand when you have the head screen on, you don't want to be seeing things on the side. You want it to be a really good experience. You want that content to be really good. But are we that good because of the content or because of the technologies we're pushing? Which one's the more Vancouver side of things, or is it both?
I think it's both. And it's done so in a very intentional way where it's not just building technology for building technology's sake. It's about looking to use technology in a more efficient way and more productive way. So that's why we're seeing a lot of actually, former VFX or animation folks or former EA folks are going into the VR AR industry with a different lens. So they're building enterprise applications. We're seeing a lot of medical training simulations like Precision OS. What they're doing there is incredible. We're seeing, training for mines and oil and gas industries to make them more efficient, but also on the safety side of things, really looking at how can we use this technology to make industries become more more productive in the scheme of things. So that's the technology that's really driving it. But that being said, we do have a lot of great content, companies that are focused on entertainment, video games, and some really great applications within kind of the whole kind of filmmaking 360 side. But I think a lot of people have this kind of viewpoint that VR and AR is entertainment or games, and that's sort of the stigma that I've been trying to shift, because VR and AR and metaverse isn't just about that. That's just like one facet. It's going to hit every single industry, and that's sort of what we're trying to evangelize, that this technology will be at the forefront of really everything that we do in the next few years.
Very cool, very cool. And I couldn't agree. I mean, we're talking about our common friend Casey, and his Vancouver, and I was shocked because I don't know so much about the Web3. I mean, I'm learning it as I'm going. I guess everyone's kind of learning as they're going. But I was shocked even on that front of on the NFT side and all that, how much high quality is really rooted here. And so it's not just the production value of AR, VR games, media, experiences, all those things, but it's also on the other technologies on the Web3 that really does put us in a nice sweet spot. And I'm assuming you get to talk a lot about that, which is fantastic. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's branch a little bit more into Shape Immersive. Can you tell me a little bit about that, the creation story?
Yeah, the creation story was my co-founder, Alex Chuang, who is also the co-founder of Launch Academy. He came up with this idea as we were curating some VR AR experiences for TED conference. I'm not sure if many of you know, TED conference is held in Vancouver every year. And we had this incredible opportunity at the Vancouver VR AR Association to bring local companies to the attendees and showcase this innovation that was happening in our city. So Alex came up with the idea to build out a demo experience, bridging kind of the real and the artificial worlds within the metaverse. And he ended up building a team around that and called it Kitty Kong. And it ended up getting a lot of steam, got recognized through various publications, and off we went. So we built this agency to really look at how do we bridge the physical with the digital, and we started to really look at working with brands. We worked with companies like Red Bull and the Olympics to really look at kind of layering that AR lens with 3D. So it kind of took us through this journey, and then as COVID hit, we ended up getting really into the whole retail and e-commerce space, which was really interesting. Being able to visualize furniture in your living room through 3D. So that didn't really take off, surprisingly, and we actually had to pivot again into more of the 3D marketplace technology that we're building with NFTs. So we're working with a company called Artifact, who recently were sold to Nike, and we got to see at the cusp of this NFT explosion. I really had no clue what it was all about, but as we started working with these clients, that's really what got us to lean into this, because NFTs are great through JPEGs, but I actually think the future of NFTs will be 3D, and
Hmm.
that's really what excites me about that space.
Well, that's interesting. Why 3D? I'm intrigued by this.
Because when you're in the metaverse, you're going to be in these virtual 3D worlds.
Hmm.
It's not going to be a uh, plain surface. It's going to
Hmm.
actually be through a VR headset,
Hmm.
or even if you're looking at it from the web, you're still able to see it in 3D. So imagine being able to buy that NFT and putting it up in your virtual museum or your
Hmm.
virtual living room, and being able to show your friends from all over the world, the sense of ownership that you have. So I think that will really change things. It won't, be that sort of, static 2D
Hmm.
image. I think it
Sure.
will be 3D. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
No.
that being said, I still think 2D, the flat images will still serve a purpose and a need.
Mhm.
Nothing beats like the kind of that old school piece of art that you can hang in your home. So, but it'll just be a different way that we have a relationship with it.
Sure, sure. I mean, I like the NBA Top Shot and all those NFTs, but at the end of the day, I was a kid. I'm sure you did this too. We had the hockey cards and you flick them against the wall to win other hockey cards. I mean, hard to do that with an NFT. I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
someone's got to come up with a game.
I miss the bubble gum, the top bubble gum.
Yeah.
Basically, it would turn into powder.
Oh,
20
crack your
seconds.
tooth. Yeah, no, I dig that. My mom she let me to have the cards, but not the gum. But I think she was smart that way. Well, you know
Yeah.
what did you tell? I mean, we met when you were taking over or creating the role of the president of the VR AR Association in Vancouver, and I know this is a big global brand or association, and you definitely did a big a big job in stewarding with through your stewardship of making a Vancouver a big presence within it. But can you tell me how you became the president of this organization?
Yeah. So when I was first starting in VR and AR, I was working at a company called Archaeact, and
Mhm.
but at that time, it was one of the only companies working in this space and building in this space. And I realized that there were a lot of people building within VR and AR, but weren't talking to each other,
Mm.
and there wasn't that community side of things. And for me, I've always been focused on community. It's always been innate within me, and I love bringing people together. So I thought it was a great fit to not only get people excited about meeting up and sharing knowledge and resources, but also bringing new people into the ecosystem. So
Mhm.
we almost kind of look at ourselves as evangelists because it's new technology that not a lot of people still grasp. Most people still haven't worn a headset yet, and
Mm.
we felt like building the Vancouver VR AR Association was sort of vital into kind of shifting the opportunities in Vancouver, but also kind of building that ecosystem within Vancouver as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was really about just connections and community. And yeah, I started that I think in 2016, and it's been quite a ride just trying to grow it, and then
Mhm.
also really looking at building on programming and delegations and stuff like that. But COVID really kind of hit us hard at that association, and we're still plugging away, but a lot of my focus has been towards the Frontier Collective and building that out. So bringing all these ecosystems together within Frontier.
Understandably. Yeah, no, understandably, completely. Well, AR VR. I mean, I've been a fan for a long time, but it's like fusion. It seems like it's always like a couple years away.
Yeah.
What's holding it back? Like, what is this aha moment that we need where we realize this is where it starts? Like in mainstream world.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of these, predictions that have been kind of called out for many years. I've heard it for ever since I've started. We've been waiting for the Apple glasses to come out, and we're still waiting. They didn't even announce anything
Nothing.
during WWDC yesterday, which was a big disappointment.
Dub disappointment. I agree.
I'm sure Robert Scoble's just sitting in the fetal position somewhere in his home in California. But what people need to realize is transformative technologies don't happen overnight. The mobile revolution didn't happen overnight. It took decades, right? Like I believe the first mobile phone came out in 1979 or 1978, and it took a little bit to ramp up, and really until Apple came out with their iPhone in 2006 or 2005 was that kind of inflection point, and that shift into changing our daily interactions or our daily communication, and now we can't live without it. So the same thing is going to happen with VR and AR, where hopefully in a few years that we'll be able to wear these glasses and be able to interact with the world around us and be looking up, right? Like, we look at our cell phones all day. Imagine all of the world that we're missing while we're staring at our phones. So I actually think that the VR, AR, metaverse revolution is going to happen, but it'll take a few years. We're still in the third or fourth inning of how this will play out. And what we're really waiting for is that killer app to come out. And I do think it'll be something like what Apple will be coming out with. I'm not sure if it's going to be that VR, AR pass-through headset. I think that'll be the first wave of that, but it'll be when the technology and the computing is in glasses that look like this. So that being said, there is a shift that's happening within the ecosystem. It's being used for training. It's being used to meet with teams. There's a lot of really incredible innovations that are happening. But what we need to do is really, kind of talk outside our own echo chambers and really show why this technology is meaningful and the potential it has. So I think it's still a couple years away, maybe a few years away, but this is inevitable. And I talk to a lot of brands on a daily basis. The biggest thing that I tell them is, if you don't really try to understand this technology now, you're just going to fall behind. We've seen a lot of the brands that we used to know, like Sears and Toys R Us, like those companies, they just couldn't adapt with the shift in technology. And I think really now is the time to really understand it and grasp it.
So you don't get excited when Sears would send you the catalog. That's not.
Oh, I used to get very, very excited about the catalog, the wish book.
Oh yeah, the 10 pages of toys. I went right there every time.
Exactly. And then you would circle all the toys that you wanted to send Santa. It was the best. I miss it.
I think we shared that. What's? We're going to talk about Santa's favorite gifts right now. I mean, right now, what's your favorite headset, or what's your favorite platform? Do you have a preferred one?
I think the best one out there is the the Oculus 2, the Oculus Quest 2. But in terms of what I've seen that's blown me away, the Vario is incredible. It's a $5,000 headset, though. Not many people will be using it, but they've really focused on enterprise. I also tried the Magic Leap 2, and I think a lot of people look at Magic Leap from the 2015 days when they had that flying whale and ended up getting billions and billions of dollars invested into them. And really hyping this industry up too early.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been able to pivot, and their new headset was very impressive. I took a look at it a couple months ago, and
Cool.
I think it's really great. But what I'm excited about today isn't going to be what I'm excited about tomorrow.
Mm. That's the curse and the beautiful and the curse of technology, isn't it? The thing you loved is so old school, so fast. In fact, an embarrassment to your friends, so fast, no matter how much you loved it. And that's why we have our little museum just in the office here of old devices that people can come in and reflect on and just go, wow,
Oh,
I
nice.
had that one. I had that one. It's just kind of a nice way to everyone have, hear a little touch point of what they remember of how these devices did touch them. So I think they do belong in some sort of collective museum that can touch everyone. Well, you know what? You're speaking at Collision. I'm super excited to be going. In a few weeks. What are you going to speak about? Is there anything? I mean, besides the obvious, is there anything that I can set people up for?
Yeah, so I'll be joining a panel with Amy Peck and a couple other leaders within the metaverse ecosystem, talking about is the metaverse hype or is it the future? And it's kind of the common topic that that a lot of us metaverse folks are discussing because of the most recent hype and a lot of the Meta Facebook news that came out in November. But it's really about like how can we create a more sustainable and a metaverse that we all want to live in and be able to work in. So it's always a fun conversation to have. We had a similar conversation at Web Summit, which is the sister conference of Collision, and it was surprising the amount of engagement for that topic. And I love going to these conferences that aren't really specifically on the industry that I work. It's really nice to go to a conference where it's this confluence of technology and leaders, and that's where really you can learn and have new perspectives on a bunch of different things. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be bringing a delegation of Vancouver leaders. We're going to be helping promote Vancouver companies, and we will be hosting an incredible party on
I've got my tickets.
21st, and I've got a nice cold beer waiting for you, Chris.
Lovely. That is fantastic. Well, I was really lucky because I got to be at Web Summit in Portugal, and I got to see you emceed some, it was two great parties. I can't think of their names right now, but both in the States. But the thing that blew me away was how many people really wanted to hear. Like that was it was a big stage. I mean, it wasn't the main stage. That's kind of the Amy Poehler type, but this was a big inside stage, and you had a lot of people there to listen, which says how much, exactly what you said, it's cross-pollination of other disciplines of people that they know it's coming, they want to know more about it. And I thought it was a super interesting panel that you led. So good on you to be in that position and also showcase a little bit of Vancouver love at the world stage, which I think is evident what you do. And like I said, it was fun, and I was just one of the lucky little guys to be watching and taking it all in. You wrote something a while back, maybe it's about six months ago, that it touched me. It honestly touched me. I have a lot of, I mean, it's going to sound weird, but I have some personal live, events of something similar, but not quite the same. I mean, you've gone. I live in the culture a little bit more. I can talk about that after. But it was an article titled "How I Came to Terms with Being Asian," and it was such a personal experience. And I've asked, and like some of the people from like our marketing department, who's like Lulu, who's here, actually said, "Oh, we read that one in school." Like, just so you know, that touched at the MBA program.
Oh, wow.
So that touched a lot of people. But can I ask you, why did you feel a need to share such a personal experience?
Well, it happened last year when I saw this uptick of violence against Asian people. And in the past, I never really was the type of person that would, be outspoken about anything towards being Asian, because I always kind of pushed against it. I grew up in a small town. I was the only Asian kid in that town, Fernie, BC, and I always struggled with it because I didn't see anyone that looked like me. So I felt compelled to write that piece to really, showcase the identity crisis that I went through for most of my life, just trying to fit in and just trying to have people to like me, and some of the struggles that I had with that, and hopefully kind of putting that story out there would get maybe resonate with the other folks who are Asian as well, that kind of grew up in a similar way, and also look at like, hey, it's not, it's okay to be like, it's great to be
Very
Asian.
okay. It's
like,
amazing to be.
yeah, it's amazing. And now I'm very proud of being Asian and being Korean, and it took me a while to get through that journey, but I felt that COVID actually really helped me kind of sit within, being okay with it, loving it, and loving myself, and that was quite the journey that it took me a long time to get there, but I feel like it's only empowered me to want to do bigger and better things with my life. So yeah, it was a great experience.
It was so beautifully honest. And obviously I'm not Korean or Asian, but my wife is, my sister adopted, who had a very similar, like when I read it, I'm thinking, wow, it sounds like her experience of, and also my kids themselves. I mean, they're half Korean, half whatever. I'm a mix of whatever it is. And I sense a similar thing that I want them to, they want to be like everyone else in Canada, instead of really honoring, what is them, or what makes them so unique in every way. And I just think that was honestly a really, really, really good starting conversation for me to have with my kids after reading that, and sharing that story with them, so that they understand that, you got to be proud of everything that you are. Because the world, I mean, Vancouver's a better place. Canada's a better place because we have so much mixed culture. But that second generation, sometimes they find it challenging to find that, obviously. And we're either way. I just want to thank you for writing that. It was a beautiful article. It was it touched me so deeply. I mean, here you go. You can see that. That's my Unjung. That's my wife, Sheila, my daughter, and my son, all in Hangul. So that I'm all in on the Korean. Yeah, no.
You probably know more about Korean culture than I do, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the day that I get to travel to Korea. I've never been, and that's another journey that I'm going to be able to untap through Korean culture. So
I hope I get to go with you. Okay, I hope I get to go. Like, we have to do some conference. I'll go with you. I can be your bad translator. It would be awesome fun. It would be awesome fun. I promise you. Well, there's one thing that I kind of want to talk, because I think this would have been so much fun. Is because you were a hockey player growing up. I mean, it's hard, and where you grew up, not to be a hockey player, I assume. That's just part of what it is. But I saw on your LinkedIn that you were the VIP coordinator at Molson Canadian Hockey House during the 2010 Olympics. Tell me about that. Did you meet anyone, like any of the cool hockey players or anything like that you were looking up to? Like, just share that experience with me, because it can't be more Canadian than that.
So I will say this: probably the best time in Vancouver was during that 2010
Heck yeah.
Winter Olympics.
Heck yeah.
It was probably one of the most special times of my life, to be honest. And I was lucky. I was going to film school, actually, and it was kind of an unconventional program. It was called Entertainment Business Management, where you were doing music classes, you were doing film classes, and then I had a sports class. And the teacher there was like, yeah, get out there and look at volunteer experiences, or try to find like these sort of gig experiences. And he connected me to the folks that were running the Molson Canadian Hockey House, and it was actually a paid position. I was like, whoa, I'm definitely in. One is paid, and two is all around hockey during the Olympics. And basically my role there was to be a sort of a VIP host for all the hockey legends and all the different hockey teams that were coming in. And then, through that, as that was kind of like this hot spot during the Olympics, I would get to meet gold medalists and these celebrities. And it was like, wow, this is quite the experience.
Awesome.
But, that really kind of, being a part of events and really helping bring people together, I realized like at that time was something that really gave me energy. And that was a really, really special time. And I only look back during the Olympics with really, really warm memories.
Awesome. So that's a catalyst moment, man. That's so cool. And I lived in Yaletown during the Olympics, and it got to the point that they'd have the fireworks almost every night out, just right out my window, and it was like I got so jaded by the day 9. I'm like, I'm not even looking outside anymore. But you're right. It was so much fun. I mean, I wish my kids were a little bit older so they could have really understood it. And I'm hoping, I'm actually all pro. I mean, we've got all the facilities. We didn't knock them down like everyone else seems to, or leave them in cobwebs. I'm all for, let's do this. Let's have this party again, so people understand not only how special a place Vancouver could be, to showcase to the world, but also how much fun these events are and the parties that come with it. So
2030.
2030. Are you going to be back at the hockey house, the Canadian Hockey House that time?
Maybe. It's
sounds like a good
this technology doesn't take off. I might have to look at at other realms.
Oh, come on. We'll all be watching it with our Google our Google glasses, our Apple glasses at that point, experiencing it deeper than we ever had before. Well, Dan, again, the theme of Afternoon's Tea is to talk to wonderful entrepreneurs like yourself to prepare that next generation of startups. So I have these 2 questions I always blah with, and I'm going to hit them with you, if you please. So the first is, can you share one piece of advice to help a younger Canadian founder?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really about trying things, going and doing things. Just do it. During COVID, it's kind of shown us that anything can happen in our world, and it's really about taking advantage of what we have today and being grateful for what you have, and also just going out and trying it. Do the thing that has always been on your mind and something that you've always wanted to do, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. You might get a job, you might end up working there for multiple years, or you might get married, and there's certain things that happen in life that can take you off course, and you never want to live in a world of regrets. So I would say just try it, even if you don't have all the pieces ready yet. Just go out and do it. That's my number one piece of advice. Yes.
I think that's awesome. I mean, how do you know you're either don't like it or do love it, or maybe you're not perfect at it, but you have enough of a spark until you do try something. So I think that's great.
And if you fail, that's a learning lesson, a powerful learning lesson that you can take back and with whatever you do next, right? So it's about failing fast, right?
Fail fast and find that flavor that really sparks your joy. So man, throwing a lot of those blah like that around. But top question on the board, if you will. Can you share the name of a Canadian entrepreneurial star or founder that you personally look up to?
That's a really good question. I think there's a lot of really great founders, a lot of great leaders in Canada. Toby, for example, is a great one. Everyone knows who he is, and he's really set the standard of how to build Canadian companies.
Mhm.
I love the Canadian entrepreneurs that push the boundaries and go against the status quo.
Mhm.
Canadians, were so polite, and we kind of have this this friendly kind of demeanor about us. But I love the ones that want to push against the traditional ways of doing things. And there's some great folks out there that are really kind of pushing those boundaries. And I love I look up to a Vancouver entrepreneur, Roham, from, I can't say his last name, but from Dapper Labs.
G something long. Yes, I
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. Like what he's been able to do, creating Dapper Labs and actually creating an industry is very compelling. And I actually think that they're just in kind of the beginning of where they're gonna go with this technology, and they're gonna lead the way. So I definitely look at him as one that I definitely look up to. And yeah, there's a bunch of other great entrepreneurs. That's a really difficult question to answer, but
and a lot of them are in your collective, which is another beautiful thing, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, you get like the people who are passionate, the people who are very community oriented, like Ray Walia, for example.
He's awesome.
Just the many years of the blood, sweat, and tears to try to help entrepreneurs and startups, and putting entrepreneurs and startups first. So I respect those types of people, because I kind of like that too. I tend to put people before myself, and I think it's just like something within yourself, within community, of like bringing people together and just trying to change things is something that I'm really passionate about, and I really tend to connect with those types of people.
Sure. Well, that's awesome. I mean, I'm definitely team Ray. If there was a team, I don't think there's anyone going against Ray. So, I think we're all team Ray. But I did notice, I mean, I've been very jealously following his, trips through Europe right now, which I'm not sure he's back or not yet. But I did see that you were with him in where was it? Not Serbia, and
Croatia.
You were in Croatia. I love Croatia.
Yeah.
Croatia's awesome. But you just happened to enjoy where you're Split or a Dubrovnik with him?
Split, yeah. So one of my friends puts on Split X conference, and they brought together a bunch of leaders in the Web3 and metaverse space. And what an incredible conference! It was 50 awesome people that are trying to change the future of this technology. And it was really about conversations, not about selling your product or anything like that. It's just about meaningful connections. And
awesome.
What better place than Split, where you can actually have sessions in these 1700-year-old palaces, or on a mountaintop. It was pretty incredible. It definitely beats the setting of San Jose Convention Center.
I can definitely dig that. Well, Dan, thank you for joining me today.
Chris.
Thank you for everything that you do to make Vancouver a better place, and really centralize that technology, that vision, that the passion for what you do to make people maybe get a spark themselves, and grow the industry. So I salute you, I applaud you, and I can't wait to see you in Toronto during Collision, if not sooner, hopefully sooner, and to hear all the great stuff that you have to share. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chris. And I'll flip it back to you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in the community and helping grow the pie as well. And, bringing people together. It's something that I've noticed within you, and, everything that you're doing at TTT. You guys are killing it, and you guys are showing that Vancouver can be a leader. So really appreciate these conversations, and definitely a big fan of all the work that you're doing.
Oh, you make me blush, because this is so much fun. Yeah, we'll see you soon.